Hey, how y'all doing? Okay, so I'm going to make this backpack, IVL, carry-on backpack, lunch bag, shoulder bag, but I'm going to make I was going to say the lunch bag. I'm going to make a backpack, and I'm going to carry you guys on this journey with me to make this backpack. I printed out my instructions here. I printed out my the pattern pieces that I need. This one is 19 pages to make this backpack, and I guess this is the largest one out of all of them, so this is the one with the most pages. But anyway, the instructions tell you how to print it. It tells you how to piece your pieces together, and what I like to do, it tells you, so this says 1 2 3 4 5 is on the first row, then 6 to 10, then 11 to 15, and 16 to 19. So what I like to do, after I've read my instructions several times, because you guys know you got to read twice and cut once. Just like when you're cutting your fabric, measure twice, measure 4 times, measure 6 times, and then cut to make sure you get it right. Make sure you're reading your instructions, to make sure you get it right. So I've got pages 1 through 5 here, and she tells me how to cut it. I've cut her PDF patterns quite a few times. I'm an ambassador for IVL HCA, so I know how to cut her patterns, but she gives you these little circle bits in the corners, and she tells you in the instructions, how to cut. So my first row, I've kind of learned how to do them. My first row, I just cut the right side only. Then by the time I get to the second row, I cut the top and the right side for the next set of rows, and then I put them together. And I'm going to use a rotary cutter this time. I normally use scissors, but I'm telling you, using this is so much faster. I've also got a ruler here just to make sure I line my stuff up properly, and I've got my tape here because I'm going to tape it together on this occasion. Sometimes I use a glue stick, so it's up to you what you want to use, whatever works best for you, but this time I'm going to use tape, and then I'm going to put all my pieces together. And when I tape it, I'm only going to tape like where the pattern is. I'm not going to put tape all the way down here because there's no pattern here. So that's just going to be a waste of my tape. That part is going to get thrown away. This part is what I'm actually going to cut out. So this is where I'm going to put my tape. So I'm going to go ahead and do all my cutting, and then we'll go from there.
Wrong now. Every time I see you, you got a frown on your face.
I'm trying to balance my checkbook. Looks like I'm gonna be robbing Peter to pay Paul for the foreseeable future.
I don't understand that the Lord is with me.
Pam, this is one day. I'm gonna need years of days like this to make up for my debt.
You know what? Don't get stressed up. Because soon you'll be finished baking the bun in your oven, and Zach will have no choice but to come up off of that couch and push it. He's gotta help you, Peter.
Y'all orders will be up soon, right? Appreciate you. Yeah.
Take care of it.
No, thank you all for patronizing the mother's establishment. I appreciate that.
Maybe something parents.
No, you?
It's been a lot going on. I get it. Same with the bank. I don't know. I just feel bad that we so early, with all the things that are going on. Especially after she tells me. I'll call her tonight. Let me know if you get her, and I'll try to. Yeah. Okay.
So, Jordan, what were you doing before you decided to put your hat into the race for city council?
I was a coach.
So you've been paid to help keep the workers with Swift. Tell me. Right.
Tell me
last page, I only need to cut the top.
What did you think Wake Forest was just going to lay down? You guys need to show up, and if you don't, it's going to be a long day. He wants them to win their one-on-ones, but this group's feeling a little shell-shocked. Something they're not used to being down early.
Here's Klubnik, and the wide open receiver is Stellato. He got drilled, but hung on to the ball, took the shot, and picks up about. Off play action, Klubnik setting up and dumping it off to Maffa. He steps out at the 46, picking up 3 yards, 7th catch of the year for Maffa. See if Clemson snaps it one more time before the end of the quarter. And a dominant offense since week 1 and lost to Georgia 34-3. But no points in the first quarter. Back in the top 10. For the 10th straight year, up 5 spots in the poll, but down at Wake Forest after 1. 7-0. Demon Deacons.
What does a good investment opportunity look like? At T. Rowe Price, we let curiosity light the way, asking smart questions about opportunities like clean water and what promising new treatment advances can make a new tomorrow possible. Better questions, better outcomes.
I'm Jimmy Dean, and only one thing can make a morning like this any nicer.
Oh, Hardy.
All right, so I got my pattern pieces all cut out. I've cut all my edges and I'm ready to start taping together, and that's what I'm doing. So I just tape pages 1 and 2 together so you can see. So on number 1, I cut that right edge off and I have put it together onto number 2. And if you notice, there's like a half circle here. So you'll know once you get your half circles together, like that page is together. I'll just put a little piece of tape there and a little piece of tape there because none of this is the pattern. So I'm not going to waste too much of my tape putting tape here when none of this is the pattern. I just put a little piece there and a little piece there to hold those 2 pages together. But the pattern is actually over here and over here. But I need those 2 pages together. Evidently, you know, it's all going to come together. So I'm going to go with the flow. Okay, so I've cut this right edge off and this left edge is still on. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to sit this down, and all I'm going to do is put these 2 together where I get that half circle lining up. I've got that half circle lining up. Give me a little piece of tape down here. I'm still lined up there. Give me a little piece of tape right there. And now those 2 pages together. Now, the pattern is kind of coming over here, but it's still not up in this section here. So therefore, again, I'm going to end up cutting over here. So that's why I'm not using too much of my tape right there. So I'm going to go ahead now, get page number 4, and the page numbers are written on each page. Number 4. Again, I've cut the right side off, and I'm going to line it up with the left side here. So I just get that half circle together. And then I'm going to slap me some tape on. I'm holding this one down because I see the pattern is actually more here. So I want to make sure I line this up properly. And put my tape on. And for this one, I'm going to put more tape because this is the pattern. So I need to tape all of this together. Ooh. See, mishaps like that happen. I just press it on down, honey, because I don't want to tear the page. So my pattern piece, I need a little piece right there. So because this is all an actual pattern piece, I take that whole thing from the top circle to the bottom circle, so that way my pattern piece stays together. But like I said over here, like this is not pattern piece. This is just going to be cut off. So I just put a little piece of tape there and a little piece of tape there just to hold that together. And let me see if I can do a close-up for y'all again. You got my little half circle lined up. And that's all you're doing is lining up your half circle. So this is the last page on this row. And I know that because I read my instructions and my instructions told me. So again, I'm going to overlap pages 4 and 5. And obviously we're not perfect, but you do want to get it as lined up as you can. And I put my hand down there to hold it because I don't want it to move while I'm moving. So again, I've got, this is all pattern piece, so I'm going to put tape all the way up and down this one to make sure that my pattern piece is taped properly. So that's my first row done. I got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. My first row is done. So now I'm just going to fold this over a little bit so I can start the second row. So that's page 1. The second row starts with page 6. On my second row, I cut the top. And I cut the right side. And I'm going to overlap where I cut. I'm going to put this on top of where I did not cut on number 1. So again, lining up my circles. I'm going to hold that down because I can see this is clearly a pattern piece. So I need to put tape all the way across this. Sometimes it can be so funny handling tape and trying to record. It's getting stuck to my fingernail and everything. Anyway, we keep on pressing on. So I'll put tape there. And I'm just going to fold that right there. Okay, so move this over just a little bit so I can go with page 7 and page 7. So page 6 is going to overlap on top of page 7, but then page 7 is going to overlap on page 2, which is the page above. And you're going to notice, I'll get a close-up in a second. Let me just line the pages up first. Then I'll give you a close-up of the full circle. I'm busy trying to focus on lining the page up. Okay. Okay, so I got a pattern piece. Well, that pattern piece ends right there. And then this pattern piece down here. Okay, so I don't have much to take together here, but just enough to make sure my pages are held together. Okay, so let me pick this up and now show you, because now that I've gotten these 4 together, I got a full circle right there. I told y'all I ain't good at this recording stuff, but anyway, I'm trying my best to show y'all. So if your table is big enough, which mine is, but because of the way my camera is on the tripod, I can't really spread it all out, or you're not going to see what I'm trying to get you to see. So anyway, now to page 8. Again, page 7 overlaps on top of page 8, and page 8 overlaps on top of page 3, and you'll find this in your instructions. Okay, y'all, I'm gonna have to go ahead and do this without trying to explain on camera. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this, and then I'm gonna come back to y'all. Okay, now that I've got it all taped together, I'm ready to cut my pieces. Again, I'm going to use my rotary cutter where I would normally use scissors. I'm telling you guys, everything is so much easier with the rotary cutter. One thing I will say about your rotary cutter, so I normally only use these to cut my fabric. But because I'm going to change my blade soon, I thought, well, I can still use it for something. Like, it's still good enough to cut paper. So I'm going to use it for that. That's why I'm using it, to cut this pattern out and, you know, to cut this paper. And what I'll do is I'll save this blade. So the next time I want to cut paper, I can use this blade, and it's quicker for me to use my rotary than to use a pair of scissors. Also, I have on my table, I have a self-healing mat. So that means this blade can cut through this mat, and it's not gonna leave a mark that this mat has been cut, because the mat heals itself. So where I just cut, I can't even feel where I just cut just now, because it's already healed itself. So if you're using a rotary cutter, make sure that you have a self-healing mat. Don't use this on your table, because you will be cutting marks into your table or on your floors or whatever. And again, if you're using your rotary cutter, you know, use a blade, do like I do. Like I said, this blade is kind of dull as far as fabric is concerned right now, but it's still good enough to sharp enough to cut through this paper. So that's why I'm using it on this paper. And then I'll sit this blade somewhere safe, cover it safely so I don't cut myself. But I know that this blade is my paper cutting blade, and I'm gonna change this blade when I want to use it on fabric. So now that all my pieces are together, I'm gonna cut my pieces out. So all you're gonna do is just like you would any other pattern, go along the lines of the pattern and carefully cut your pattern out. And using a rotary cutter is no different than using a pair of scissors, as you're gonna clearly see. Now, I still may need a pair of scissors, because I don't know if you can see this, but let's say that corner right there I don't need. So I'll just get me a pair of scissors and cut that corner off. But that's what I'm gonna do now. I'm gonna go through and cut all my pattern pieces, and yeah, then we'll go from there. After we do that, ooh, we'll be ready to cut some fabric. Now for the good part. Okay, so I got all my pattern pieces cut out. I've used my rotary cutter to cut out all the small and large pieces of this pattern, and I am ready to cut some fabric. And let me show you the fabric that I am going to use. So this is it. This is my outer of the backpack. This is the main part of the backpack. It's a leather, y'all. I'm using leather to make me a backpack. I bought this leather in 1 yard. I bought this 1 yard piece probably a year ago, and I've made 2 bags with it. This is my 3rd bag that I'm making from this 1 yard. So yeah, I love the color. I don't know if the camera is showing you the color well or not. My shadow and everything is in it, but anyway, so that's the outer. And then this is my lining fabric. Again, lighting. I told you I'm new at this thing. I ain't no influencer and all that kind of stuff. No professional influencer anyway. So this is my lining. It's kind of a heavy fabric. It's really, I want to say it's thick, but it's not really thick. It's just a good firm fabric. I don't even know what it is. It's some kind of cotton. But as you can see, it's like under the lights, it's like shimmery and whatever. So that's going to be the inside of my backpack. And then the outside of my backpack is going to be leather. Now, I can't sew my backpack today because I don't have all the pieces. Like, you got to have webbing for the straps. You got to have a strap adjuster. You got to have zippers for, you know, the top of the backpack. Then you got to have a zipper for the front pocket. And I don't have all those things in stock, but I've ordered them from Amazon, y'all. I ordered all my stuff from Amazon, and it all should be arriving next Friday. So what I can do today, I'm doing, and that is I have cut the PDF pattern. Today I'm going to cut my fabric, and any little bits that I can do to start, I'm going to read my instructions because I think I can do the front panel today as far as sewing, but I can't put the zipper on it today as far as sewing. So this video is going to be a part 1 and a part 2 of making this backpack. So the part 1 is the cutting, preparation, and then the part 2 will be the actual putting it together and showing you my final result. I'm so excited. I'm really happy. I'm glad I get to make my own backpack. So when I go to work, I can put my stuff in my backpack and put it in my, you know, in my safe space or whatever. So anyway, thank you guys for coming along this journey with me. And I can't wait for part 2.